The following is a recording of a webinar on how to build and sustain an online community that took place as part of the Transurban EU-China project on the 10th of December 2019. The speakers were Edna Pasher of the Israel Smart Cities Institute, presenting the Transurban EU-China Community of Communities, Francesco Marchette of Connected Places Catapult, presenting the Digital Social Market, and Maurice Bock of Eurocities, presenting Quicker. We begin with Dr. Edna Pasher.
So we are really very eager to experiment with it as much as possible. Now, when we moved from an experiment such as Knowledge Board 2.0, which I mentioned before, to Transurban EU-China, we found that we have some new challenges which we didn't have there. Number one is the fact that we have firewalls between China and the rest of the world, which made it very difficult to use common open source platforms. So we decided to join our friends in China and start our experimentation with online community building by using WeChat. And we actually have quite an active WeChat group of the partners in the project, where we share photos and papers and all kind of news. The problem is that there is a limit to how many people WeChat allows on this open source platform. So we decided to look for another platform. The other platform that we are now showing you online is Discourse. It's a platform that allows for many, many participants, and it allows for translation between English and Chinese, something that we didn't have originally in Knowledge Board, because we only used languages that had the Latin digits in them. So here on this course, Chinese partners, friends, stakeholders can join our conversation as well. There is a way to translate it with no problem. So we, in addition to our experimentation on WeChat, we experiment on Discourse. The problem or the challenge with Discourse, which we are now focusing on, is to make it a little friendlier than it is. Right now, the signing in is as difficult as the signing in to WeChat, which you have to get a confirmation and all of that. And probably people nowadays, once they encounter some problems online, they just leave. They want it very easy, but we don't give up. And I have here with me my colleague who leads our work package in the project, Lee Sharir, and she is constantly working with experts from all over to make our chosen platform Discourse friendlier and friendlier all the time. In the meantime, we wanted to attract more people to our community of communities, our COC. And the way to do it is to experiment with other technology. So far I spoke about two, the WeChat and Discourse. And in the recent months, we added a third one, which is Skype. We create events. This was very successful, for example, on Knowledge Board, which I mentioned, where people self-organized into different SIGs, special interest groups, online communities, and we wanted very much to create events as we did over there on Discourse to attract more people and more traffic. So in the last few months, with the great friendliness of our partners in the project, we started with personal introductions and then expert of the month. And we have to thank the first pioneers who helped us with that. And now we experimented already with Book of the Month, and you are more than welcome to go inside and look at it and see how interesting it is when we get to know each other better and share information and knowledge, which is actually the spirit of community. Community has to be a warm a group of people who like to meet each other and help each other. And we believe that whatever the problem, community is the answer. So in urban planning and in transition to smarter cities, more sustainable cities, inclusive cities, we definitely need to experiment with top-down and bottom-up. And the bottom-up is living laboratories, which are usually done face-to-face, urban living laboratories, which we do in this project too, and support all of that with online digital support, which I just described. Last but not least, in my presentation, while experimenting with all these technologies and all these methods, we are, of course, creating data. And the idea is that our partners from Tongji University, Professor Otheim Herzog and Professor Buyang Cao, they are going to apply artificial intelligence, AI, which is their expertise, to answer some questions that we will later ask them to see what emerged in this knowledge sharing experimentation that I just described. So I would like to thank Anthony and to thank Lee, who is here with me. And if you have questions, you are more than welcome.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Edna. So indeed, to reiterate that, if anyone has a question, you can let me know in the conversation box there, and I will bring you into the conversation. There will be time at the end for further questions, but it will take one or two now if someone has something they'd like to ask. Maybe while we wait and see if someone wants to put something to us, I could just ask you, Edna, so is there something, because I know that many people have had difficulty creating these communities, is there something that you do to draw people into them, or that you would consider the kind of secret sauce of keeping them there? Because I know a lot of the time as well, these communities are created and then they tend to peter out or die over time, whereas I think you've had quite a lot of success in really keeping them going.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we had a lot of success with the original knowledge board that I told you. It seems that it is more difficult in this experiment funded by the EU again. And my hypothesis is that since we are now flooded by online communities, all of us, and by a lot of information, it is much more difficult to draw people to online conversations, and especially if the technology has some problems, as I explained, some challenges because of the fact that this is transurban EU-China. Still, I believe that what works, at least from the point of view of sharing knowledge, is the fact that we turn the members of the community to, we make them stars in the community. We get the community to know them. If, for example, we had a Professor Jianming Kai as our expert of a month, and he shared his experience and his studies about the big shift in the way smart cities and urban planning has experienced in the last few years. It was fascinating, and those of us who come and read and look can benefit a lot. And Professor Jianming Kai is now somebody that all of us in the community know. So I think that both in cities face-to-face and in online communities, if you want to attract people, you have to create events. When it is face-to-face, cities that have festivals or exhibitions, or the Biennale in Venice, or the Smart Cities Expo and World Congress in Barcelona, they attract people.
Right.
People are looking for experience. They don't just go already by now just to visit places. So we need to create events, and we will go on with this as much as possible.
Fantastic. Okay, really interesting. So yes, it becomes more and more difficult as the quantity of offer and the amount of kind of noise online increases. But I really like this idea of creating experts of the month or doing something to push people a little bit more to feel like they are members and valued members of a community. So thank you very, very much, Edna. And we'll move on now to Francesco from the Connected Places Catapult to tell you a little bit about the digital social market they've been developing in the EU-funded Sharing Cities project. So please go ahead, Francesco.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to present our work. I'm Francesco Marquette, and I'm project manager at Connected Places Catapult. Connected Places Catapult is the UK Centre for Urban Innovation. And what I'm presenting you today is the work we have done together with the 35 partners of Sharing Cities in developing what we have called the digital social market. What is the digital social market? Is a kind of online-offline platform that can help to reward citizens and the community for positive actions and sustainable behavior that contributes to the overall wellness, well-being of a city. Just a quick recap of the project. It's a 25 million lighthouse project funded by Horizon 2020, 5 years of implementation from January 2016 to December next year. As I said, we have 35 partners that are drawn from 7 countries, and we have a perfect blend of cities, industries, research organization, NGOs, and university in the project. And as you can see, we have literally probably some of the best partners and the best organizations across Europe contributed to the project. So the project has 10 ambitious goals. As you can see, here, and I'm happy to provide you with more information. I'm sure that also Eurocities can provide you more information about the project. What I'm presenting to you today is indeed the digital social market that focus mostly into three of those goals. One is delivering common and replicable models. The other one is accelerating the take-up of solutions that can be deployed in each city and successfully engage with citizens. So just to make you understand where we are positioning this digital social market within the project, we have a tier of services that have been implemented across London, Lisbon, and Milan. We are talking about services such as smart parking, e-logistics, bike sharing, EV sharing and EV charging points, building retrofitting, smart lampposts, and smart energy monitoring system that works across the grid. All these services provides data and make available data that are collected into our Urban Share platform. The Urban Share platform is a common architecture that allows to index all this data and to make these data available across the city for reuse and deployment into new services. And so on top of this architecture, it's where we have started to develop our digital social market, our incentive mechanism to incentivize citizens to pick up the services provided to the project, but also beyond, to participate more into the city activities, to become more responsible and to change their behaviors towards a more sustainable lifestyle that the city can benefit from. To start, we have created a framework. So we have worked closely with the partners in the three cities. We use an agile approach of prototype development using the service design double diamond. And through 3 iterations in the cities, we came up with the concept of what a digital social market should be or could be. And so we have a 3-tier framework. The first tier, the most important, is the consortium of promoters of the digital social market, where you have the city, but you have also other organizations in the city that are interested to promote a behavioral change and that are interested in engage with citizens. So this consortium set up services and decide which kind of behavior you want to target with this initiative to go and provide the citizens with positive rewards for their behaviors. And the citizen, in exchange, getting those results, provides a change and help the city to be more sustainable. Now, in between, we have a 3rd tier, which is the tier of the local businesses, because we want our project to be sustainable, but we want also our project to be locally related, and we wanted to have an action that could sustain also and promote the local businesses in the cities, because we believe that they are part of the social network that makes a city more resilient and more resistant. So basically, the consortium has recruited local businesses across the 3 cities, and so the citizen, through the points that they accrue, can go to the local businesses and getting rewards. So the kind of rewards you get are either a discount, can be a gift from the local shops, or there is also a 3rd option, which is quite interesting, and is the one of donating those points to a nominated charity. And those points are converted into a contribution that either the local businesses or the consortium will make towards those nominated charities or volunteering organization. So from this tier, from this model, from this framework that you can see in the presentation, we have created 3 different applications, one for each city involved. We have now up and running the Greenwich Energy Hero, which is incentive mechanism that focus mainly into building retrofitting and electricity usage in the district of Greenwich in London. We have Sharing Me, which is a very comprehensive platform in Milan that operates as social network and also as rewarding system, incorporating a lot of different behaviors, but also incorporating other features that I will show you in a minute. And in Lisbon, we have Sharing Lisboa, which is, again, similarly to Sharing Me, another comprehensive platform that can tap into data from the Urban Share platform and from the services, but also was providing quizzes and other infotainment, let's say, for citizens, but with a specific focus with local schools and pupils of the schools, because in this third variation of the application, the focus was to use the pupils of the schools as catalysts for change within their families and within their networks. So having a look to the Sharing Me application, as I said, it starts with a leaderboard where people can post their experience, and this experience is can be can get some feedbacks from other participants, and these feedbacks earn you points. So you don't get points only for action, but you get points also for sharing, and you get, most importantly, points when your social network is reactive and you post stories that are engaging and can get the attention of other people, because we think that this is one of the most compelling ways in which we can create behavioral change, and we can create a community that self-support each other. So in this case, as you can see, in this case, we are seeing that we are sharing a picture about having done some shopping in a zero waste store, and this story is now posted into the leaderboard, and you get experience because you're showing that you're acting on this, and this experience can bring you to the next level. So there's a high degree of gamification in this that keeps the participants and the citizens engaged. So as I said, from this leaderboard, then you can move into the reward. You earn some points, and those points can be redeemed from different rewards. They can be shop, they can be training, it can be a yoga lesson, it can be more points to get into cycling and using the cycling of the cities. Overall, the performance of Sharing Me has been fantastic. In less than 6 months, we have more than 1,300 users that are constantly active. More than 5,000 stories has been shared, and there has been nowadays we have around 20,000 likes or interactions between the participants, and we have 30 businesses on board. The last thing that I want to say to close this presentation is that Sharing Me can also accommodate challenges. So I'm relating also to from the previous presentation, how to keep citizens engaged through events. So these events, in the case of Milan, has been most of the time creating a challenge that gives you points when you pick up a policy that has been launched. So for instance, in the month of June, there was a challenge around Milano plastic free. The municipality has decided to launch a new policy around cutting the use of plastic, and the participants from Sharing Me could earn more points if they were sharing stories about it, if they were showing that they were picking up this policy. These kind of challenges can be created by the municipality, but can be also created by other members of the consortium or from third parties that are verified and that are approved. And we have found in another way that, for instance, is very interesting, the use of these points, for instance, to be redeemed when you organize events in your city, but also when you realize when you want to make focus groups or other initiatives that require a high level of engagement and sometimes a reward. We can provide some of these points to be redeemed within the system for the participation to these events. And we have noticed that is a great boost. So in the end, what I want to say is we developed a common framework, and then from this common framework that was created by the cities for the cities to engage with citizens, we have created 3 variations and 3 different implementations of digital social market. And I believe that if there's the interest of other cities in doing this, we as sharing cities are very happy to share our experience, to share our knowledge, and to provide all the information that you might require for thinking about developing this tool, which is called digital social market, but it's also a massive part of offline communication to complement.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Francesco. So again, I'll just open it up. If people have 1 or 2 questions, there will be time at the end to ask some questions. But if anyone would like to say something now, you can just indicate that in the little box below. So if anyone has a question, feel free to add it. In the meantime, I will just ask you, Francesco, I'm really interested in this. We have 3 kind of different apps, each tailored to the needs of the 3 different cities, but based very much on the same philosophy. Is there one feature in one of these apps that you personally find kind of really exciting for community building, and that if you were going forward with other cities, that you would choose this feature as something to put forward beyond the others?
So I'll pick up 2 if I can.
Of course.
One is the feature of the challenges that has been implemented in Milan. So with a planning, with a little bit of planning, the city, the partners in the cities, different organizations can use this platform to promote the engagement to their events and to promote the compliance to new policies that are put out. Because the problem is always, how do you kickstart the uptake of new policies? This kind of tool allows you to make a campaign, but it's also a rewarding campaign. And when you are within this community and you share stories about something new that pop up, this helps to have the message resonate within the community, and so it propagates easily in an easier way and in a faster way across the community. And the other feature that they really like is coming from Lisbon, and the focus they had on pupils in schools. And now they decided that to complement the digital tool, they had also a so-called digital social market kind of specialist that was visiting the schools to promote the uptake of the digital social market and the challenges that were there. So by hooking the audience in the school around an appealing application where there's also that contains also a lot of games and funny stuff, you can use those offline moments also to educate the pupils around sustainability, helping them to understand and to realize how they should care for their city, how they should participate in the life of their city. So those are the 2 features that they really like, because they bridge digital and offline participation. And I think that's what we were aiming for in the project.
Brilliant. I really like that idea of making the online and the offline worlds come together. And I also think this now from both of you in the question, we've heard the answer of this word events. So the idea of making the online community or platform not just a space where people can meet, but a space that is really presenting them with something, that's offering them either an occasion or a way to be recognized. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Francesco. And there'll be a moment to ask Francesco further questions later. But for now, let's move on to Maurice, who's working here at Eurocities and who oversaw our attempt to implement technology called, or a platform called Quicker, to help our city experts to mix, mingle, and share knowledge. Maurice, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. So I hope everybody hear me. It's okay. Okay, so I work at Eurocities for the communication team, and I'm in charge of the website infrastructure, the setup, follow-up, etc. So I will talk about Quicker. So we tried to launch a collaboration platform around 2010, and we use the platform Quicker for that, and it didn't really took off. So that's the first time, by the way, that I need to explain something that didn't really work. So it's a bit new for me. I mean, strange. Okay, so Quicker platform. What is it? What is it? What is it? It's part of the IBM product, Lotus Domino. So it's a web server infrastructure that we had to manage our own website for all the backend, the CMS, the contact database. And beside that, IBM was one of our associated business partners, so we received a lot of help to integrate that into our tool, or to use it for the new website at that time. So we used the Quicker platform roughly between 2011 and 2017. So it was based on a need. And the need for this was, of course, collaboration platform. So the idea was to give our members, I mean, some members of the working groups of some projects, so we talk about roughly 40 people, a platform where they could share documents, where they could send mailing tools, where they could open discussions, etc., and all by themselves. So that was the basic idea. So something interesting, we received, Quicker was part of the whole web products. So when we changed our website around 2010, 2011, we really started the discussion about the collaboration platform. So the tool was already available and already there before we really know exactly what to do with it. So that's an important point, probably one reason why it didn't really took off. To come back to Quicker, we had some issues with the products. So the first main issue we had with it was the fact that it was not possible for the members to work simultaneously in the same documents. So there was no way to enter 2 or 3 people together in one document and work at the same time. So the idea was to upload the document, allow the members download the document, edit the document, put the document back in the sharing platform. So it was a bit of duplication with what can be done with mailings. So basically that was a bad point. And of course, this leads us to talk about Google Docs, because of course we found in that platform a big competitor, because a lot of members preferred using Google Doc platform instead of ours. A second point is the repository. So here at Eurocities, we have the website, and something that we need to do is to be able to promote what we are doing, our activities. So for the working groups of the projects, we always ask the team to put the document online on the website. So that's what we call repository. So it's something completely different, because of course we cannot use the platform Quicker as a repository for the members of the working groups, because we want them to use the website to do so. So these 2 points together led a big big point of failure. Then the last point was that the tool quicker has been end of life in 2017. So we stopped using it at that date, even if the platform is still there, it's still running on the web server, and we still have 2 working groups that are still using it. But nevertheless, the product is dead. Then just to talk a bit about the future, I mean, what was the future in 2017? So in 2018, we decided to move to SharePoint. So it allows us to really do collaboration, to do document editing at the same time, different people together. So that solves a lot of issue. The only thing is that with SharePoint, we don't give that access to, or by default, to working groups or to projects. It's really to some members. So the collaboration is much better, but with a much limited amount of members.
Great. Thanks a lot, Maurice. So that's interesting trade-off that you're pointing out. The idea that the fewer people you have, the more efficiently you can collaborate, and the more people, the less. Whereas, of course, what we really want to achieve is to have larger and larger and larger numbers of people collaborating efficiently. Does anyone want to direct a question to Maurice? If you do, you can just write something in the conversation box, and I will put you on the microphone. If not, in the meantime, so Maurice, you're working on moving forward with this. One of the issues you mentioned is the technology. Once you go for it, you're a bit trapped, and you promote it, and then people don't, it doesn't work, doesn't do the things that you want it to do, and then you're somewhat stuck in this. So if you're giving people advice on creating their own online community, what would you say are the things to look out for in choosing a technology? Especially because in our case, unlike with the Israel Smart Cities Institute or with Connected Places Catapult, we weren't doing so much work on the design end to create our own specific version. We were just trying to find something that already worked and had been tested. So can you tell me what are the qualities that you would look for in future when choosing a technology to facilitate collaboration like this?
I think that the first thing to do is to define the needs, really to be sure about what we need exactly, to go deep into the details, to know exactly who need to access to do exactly what. And once this is completely defined, then it's much easier to compare with the existing platforms.
Great. So getting a good knowledge of the user base you want to attract, what their priorities are, and how to engage them. Now, I'm opening up the floor to anyone who would like to ask a question of any of our speakers. Again, you can just use the conversation box if you want to put a question in. Maybe I'll go back again with you, Edna, because we didn't really touch too much on this intercontinental dimension, and I know from trying to set up WeChat and everything that it can be quite tough to establish connection between Europe and China. Could you maybe tell me a little bit, Edna, about how you straddle this divide and try to work around the different firewalls that exist between Europe and China to create contact and community, as well as time difference and other practical issues?
Sure. We are experimenting. I believe that the only way to overcome tough challenges is to experiment, and our answer is to weave different technologies together. Now, it seems to me that WeChat in China and WhatsApp in the West are the best technologies for community building. I know, at least in our country, that all the workplaces, the corporates and the communities, they all love WhatsApp because it is so friendly and it is so easy to create a new group, to share, to have small groups and large groups, which is lovely. In the same sense, WeChat is absolutely great in China and outside of China for somebody like me who loves the Chinese, and I don't mind that I have both WhatsApp and WeChat. It is very friendly, WeChat. It allows for uploading of pictures and videos and to have audio phone calls and video phone calls and everything. It's amazing. It is so easy. The big challenge is, of course, that some people in Europe do not want to download WeChat so lovingly as I did, or my people, and many people in China maybe would love to have WhatsApp, but they are not allowed to. So yes, it's a cross-cultural issue. And I believe that when you have a complex challenge, you have to create a complex answer. And the complex answer is by weaving different kinds of technologies, as I explained. So this is my answer to how we are going to overcome it. Another point that has not to do with technology has to do with culture. I would like to tell you that the big learning for me, at least in this project and our team, is that there is so much to learn from China about smart cities that I think that it is worthwhile even for those of us in the West that are not as willing to experiment with the Chinese platform to try it because they have a lot to share and they love to share. And I'm happy that we experiment with these different technologies to get more and more people closer and closer together.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot for that, Edna. And it's really interesting to think about. I mean, here we are creating our own technologies and pushing things, and maybe existing things that have caught on for a reason. And we could think about focusing a bit more on how to use the tools that already exist. Francesco, I'd also like to ask you, because Edna's interesting in inspiring us with this transcontinental communication and sharing, and for your sharing cities work on the DSM, the focus has been city to city. So we have 3 different apps for 3 different cities, focusing on 3 different communities, and there's not a crossover there. I'm wondering if you could think of envisioning in the future somewhere some sort of single European or even global equivalent of the apps that you're developing at the moment? Or is there something necessarily local about the way that it's working?
So I think there are 2 sets of consideration that needs to be made. And for as much as I've left a wildest dream of, yes, having a kind of digital social market deployed as wider as possible, I think we have to consider different aspects. One of these is technology, and one of these is the flowing of data across systems. So it's something we were exploring and having some technical assessment around how can we make it happen in between cities, at least within sharing cities. The problems we have at the moment is that obviously you have a lot of data, of personal data, that you cannot have flowing across countries without specific agreements. And the other big, I think, challenge that we have for the future is the harmonization of services, and now all those services will be interoperable. So the step, I think, is first to understand whether in the community there's the interest for an international standard that can provide the same kind of format in data, and then how to collate all together these data and to make them flowing around. The other aspect is more around the design and understanding the needs of the users. I think one of the success of the quick uptake of this digital social, of this three version of the digital social marketing in 3 cities, was because we applied a service design approach. We had a lot of co-design, we had a lot of participatory processes around this, and we were able to make 3 applications that are custom made, that are bespoken on the local populations. So there are those 2 variations that needs to be assessed whilst thinking on deploying the same solution across different cities. And I think for the moment the market is kind of the market, as in the wider offer of services across cities, has not yet had that conversation, has not matured enough across creating a single set of standards that every service in every city can abide to.
Got it. And I know that that's something that a lot of cities are concerned about trying to achieve, and it's difficult because even within some cities you have departments using different technologies and softwares that don't always speak to each other. Yes. I really like this point about the bespoke element, though, and how we have to consult with the communities if we want to get them onto anything. It's something that Maurice, you mentioned as well, with creating these surveys and talking to members before we began to try and create something that was going to serve their needs. But Francesco just mentioned there something which I find quite interesting, and I know is a hot topic, which is where data is stored and the difficulties that we can have around that. And I'm wondering, Maurice, if you, for example, when you're speaking about Google Docs, and I know that we have issues with that there are potential issues with GDPR and especially storing data in the US. Is this something that you have had to think about in building, in how we work together in this organization and with our cities? Worries around Google Docs or any other programs that you had the potential to use?
Yes, because when we migrated to SharePoint 2 years ago, Google Docs was one of the one of the solutions, but we finally didn't go to Google because everything was stored in the US. So one of the main requests from the members and the European Commission was to have everything stored in Europe only. So that's why we didn't choose Google, and we moved to SharePoint.
Okay, this is interesting to hear, but I know maybe I shouldn't confess to this, but I know personally that I'm doing things on Google Docs with other people for work purposes. Is that something that's really that I shouldn't be doing? That's really going to cause trouble down the line, or is it something that we don't have to take too seriously? So the question then is, Google Docs is completely off limits for, you would suggest, any European project work or indeed European company, or do you, and in that case SharePoint is the solution?
Well, I could not say that I investigated all the solutions available in the world or in Europe. For us, SharePoint was the solution, yes, and Google not, for what I said. But of course, I mean, both platforms are working very well.
Okay, super. Thank you, Boris. And data is obviously a concern in all of our projects. So maybe we'll just take one more question each. And I'd love to hear from Edna and then Francesco about this issue of data privacy and how you're each dealing with it in your own projects. So Edna, maybe you could start us off and tell us a little bit about, I mean, we all know the concerns, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you're trying to deal with these.
Oh, unfortunately, Hannah had to leave because she have another meeting. I'm so sorry about that.
Don't worry. Are you able to tell us, Lee, anything about these concerns with privacy and the way that you're tackling them?
Oh, I can't, sorry.
Okay. Don't worry. Lastly then, Francesco, maybe you can tell us about how this privacy issue is functioning with your app.
So in our case, as I mentioned, we work with the local partners, and we've been compliant to the strictest national rules enforced in each of the countries. So Italy, Portugal, and the UK. And we have the GDPR regulation as a paramount across the three countries, but there are also local national aspect that need to be considered. So that is the main part. Second part to it is having consent form that is specifically tailored within the app itself. And so on one end, be compliant and having all the technology providers being compliant with the GDPR, with the European and the national regulation. And second, make sure that your informed consent that has to be given by the citizens when they sign up to the app is plainly written, very, very easy to understand, but also very thorough and comprehensive in fleshing out what's the process, where your data is stored, how you can retrieve your data, how you can review your data, how you can cancel your data, and making sure that those data are not shared with third parties without any form of consent.
Okay, great. So clarity is the key there. And I think that's a lot of the confusion that people have around GDPR. Getting clarity themselves. So companies wanting to know how to properly control this and which companies they can work with and which they can't. And then also making sure that all the users get if their data is being used somehow, that at least they have a really clear understanding of under what circumstances and in what cases it could be used. Okay, it's the last chance for anyone else who wants to intervene here to ask a question to one of our participants. So again, feel free to put something in the comments box. I'm going to wrap up shortly and thank everyone. We've recorded this webinar, so we'll circulate to all of you information about how they can follow up with each of the participants if they want to email or continue the conversation in some other way, and we'll also get the recording of the webinar out to you. So thanks very much everyone for attending and also everyone for presenting. It was really, really great to hear from you all, and I hope that this is the beginning of a productive and exciting day. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.